Hi, my name is Beth Urey, and my official title here at the resort is Director of Resort Appearance, which is a name that we came up with for me. Technically I'm the gardener, but I'm also the garden designer, the landscape consultant, and I oversee the aesthetic appeal of the whole resort in the Lincoln Peak base area, at least. Right now that's my priority. What I'd like to talk with you about today are the three principles that I use for developing a garden or a garden design. This is an example of a garden that got put in this spring, and the principles that I used for this are, first of all, serendipity. The definition of serendipity is an unexpected occurrence that turns out to be a good thing. The second principle that I use is form follows function, where whatever needs to happen with respect to, for example, water drainage, we've come up with a design that takes care of that necessity. An example of serendipity as it applies to the design of this garden has to do with the material that this garden was built from. We had no idea what the hemlock, which has been used to construct these box beds, was going to look like until it was picked up from the sawmill where it was produced for us. Not all of it is straight, some of it has got a bow to it. Serendipity applies in this case because I was able to draw a line that parallels the curve of this concrete in the dirt, and we were able to pick pieces of lumber out of the supplies that we got that actually have some curve to them. So if you look at this garden and you are able to see both edges of the box beds and the concrete, you'll see that the whole garden kind of curves in the same line as the concrete. That's serendipity. That is a case that luck worked really well in our favor. The next principle that applies to the construction of this garden is form follows function. The instance in this case has to do with water drainage off the large building in the background. So the water comes off the gatehouse lodge roof, comes straight across the hard pavement here, and finds its way into the drain, draining all the surface water from this hardscape. With the removal of the sod and the construction of this garden, initially what we had was we recreated that same depression that was in the lawn here through the bark along this edge of these box beds leading to the drain. It didn't take more than one of the gully washes of this summer to discover that the amount of water coming off this concrete was so great in volume that it was creating a little river down through the mulch and carrying quite a bit of that mulch towards the drain, some of it down the drain, which is not what we want to have happen. So for form follows function, in order to take care of that situation, to divert that water before it got to the mulch, we created this new rock edge. There's a small ditch filled with round stone, and the inside edge is at a grade that is just slightly less than the grade of the concrete. Now what's happening is the water's coming off the hardscape, diving into that rock ditch, and 99% of it is going down the rock ditch that's been created here and going where it's supposed to go without carrying the bark mulch with it. So that's an example of form follows function. The third principle that I use, or guideline that I use in working in any garden landscape, has to do with using as much as possible material that's native to the site, and as a consequence that's where the sorting of material comes in. This is an excellent example of material that has been sorted from this site or from the general proximity of the base area right here. These are all Sugarbush rocks. Many of these rocks actually came out of the beds as we were prepping these garden beds, and we have been able to use that material right here. The result of that is that everything blends with each other. It looks like it belongs to this mountain. This is the result of those three principles.